Servus, Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. After several years, I decided to install the Tinder app on my smartphone again because I will be traveling, or I knew I was going to be traveling to the Shanghai area and to Japan. So just before I left Germany, I decided to measure the baseline, so to speak. So I swiped right, as all men do, as you know, a little bit in good old Germany. And then I did the same thing for a couple of days in the Shanghai area, in China, and also in Japan. So as you might know, I'm a happily married guy. I don't really use Tinder. And also the last time I installed it, I only did that for a video. That video is kind of old right now already, and it was a comparison between Germany and Japan when it comes to dating apps. And I tried to gauge a little bit using my own profile picture how the foreigner bonus actually works in Japan and how you can quantify that. You know, as a white guy or as a German, you might actually get more positive responses, more likes, because the girls in Japan are just curious. And I try to do a similar thing now, a couple of years later, but I also want to talk a little bit about how the girls, or the women I should say, actually present themselves on their profiles on Tinder, and what the differences are between the three countries, Germany, China and Japan. I also have to say right away that I would never recommend to anybody to use this app. It's a huge waste of time, and there might be some outliers, or there might be some exceptions actually, some happy stories about people who got married or found their the partner of their dreams on Tinder. That might be true, but overall it's a huge waste of time. And the people you meet there, gauging or judging from what I've seen now so far, it's not really worth it. I think the old school way to find a partner is much more viable. I think just through either work or some joint interest, some shared interest, I mean, some club activity or a wider circle of friends. I would stick with that. But, well, if you want to try it, go ahead, just be warned. Okay, so first in Germany, I actually, just like in my last video, I didn't get so many likes actually. I guess I'm just not the type for the women in Germany. And also what I noticed when I was browsing through the profiles of many women, compared to the last time I tried it, there is a significant increase in shaming language. That means women basically complain about what they saw on some guy's profile and said, if you have this and that on your profile, then I never like you. Well, I just don't get that, because if you don't like them when they have, for example, pictures of their car on their profile, or when they wear sunglasses or have a naked upper body or what have you, these are the things they normally complain about, then just don't like them and you will not be matched with them. And complaining about it will only change it after they have seen already your profile. I don't really get it. They're just annoyed with some guys, and they just use their profile to communicate that to strangers of the other sex. That is, I don't really get it, but I saw a lot of that. And in addition, something that I really hadn't seen the other time, there is political stuff now also, they say. Of course, I mean, I read before, I'm a feminist, for example. Yeah, maybe that. But they said, for example, if you are a nationalist, if you vote for the AfD, or if you are right-winged, or if you are a concerned citizen, trademark, then please swipe left, or then, get the hell out of here, or something like that. That is something that is new, and I saw that on many women's profile. that was really new, and of course that's unique to Germany. In Japan and China, obviously I didn't find any such statements concerning their preferences for the political leanings of their prospective partner. Yeah, that was pretty new actually. So overall, to sum up, in Germany, they all say that they are not a lady for one night. They all look for their for a significant other, for a long-term relationship or even marriage, and people that or women that are 38 years old want to meet the future father of their children. Very nice. Okay, so basically everything stayed the same more or less in Germany, with a little more bitterness, a little more shaming language, and also this political aspect. And I think they have been used a couple of too many times, and then now they just turn bitter, but they still cannot delete this app. I mean, maybe it's not such a smart idea to look for your future husband on Tinder. Just saying. Yeah? Okay, so moving on to China, because that was next on my travel schedule, my itinerary. So in China, I saw a lot of status symbols that were flashed, right? And that is not so common in Japan, also not so common in Germany. A little more in Japan, but in China it was really strong. So a lot of handbags, a lot of fur coats, a lot of fast cars, a lot of pictures of fancy food in hotel restaurants and stuff like that, and also fitness pictures. So Chinese women apparently are really concerned with their fitness, so they don't only write that their hobby is yoga, they post pictures of them lifting weights or doing a yoga pose. And I don't mean this stupid yoga pose in front of the beach or in front of some monument. No, I mean an actual yoga pose in an actual yoga session. So and you see them, at least one picture is in workout clothes. So a lot of fitness stuff in China. I guess now a fit body, a fit healthy body has become a status symbol in China, and it is manifest in these women's profile pictures, at least one of them, as I said. And I guess competition in the Shanghai area is pretty harsh, maybe comparable to LA or New York or something like that. A lot of well-off, well-to-do people that have time to, eat healthy. They have the money to eat healthy. They still breathe the same air, but at least they can afford a healthier diet and also to work out and a gym membership or something like that. So that was one thing. And then some offers were really straightforward or something. They said they want money from the guy, or, well, that's not an offer, that's more a demand actually. So they are pretty straightforward, maybe a little harsh or a little too in your face for my German taste, but that is what I noticed in China. Also, many people or many women had, partially at least, their profiles written in English, so they want to meet a guy, or at least they're not disinterested in people from other countries, or English-speaking people, not necessarily only Chinese people. Okay, so now in Japan, a little bit has changed, because I also noticed that with Facebook and stuff like that, when I was living in Japan, with all this social media stuff, Japan was a little bit behind. So when I was there, Facebook in Europe was already an old hat, and people my age, they even considered not joining at all anymore, because if they had made it so far in their lives without a Facebook account, they thought it's really not worth it, and it was already becoming the wave of that trend was already going down again. All right, so but in Japan this all seemed to be brand new, and people posted everything on Facebook, and they didn't really have a feeling, or they weren't conscious of the risk that they're taking, that their private information, their photos, or what they're doing, or who they are friends with, all that was open. So they didn't set so many profiles to private. And also on Tinder you saw that they posted their workplace and their frontal picture, and what they like, what they're looking for. And I think a couple of years later, now I really don't see that anymore. So I think a couple of people had some awkward encounters or something, maybe with people from work or with family members or what have you, and then they decided, maybe I don't want to show my face anymore. So you see in Japan now actually lots of profiles of women that don't show the face. They have, for example, a picture from the back of their head, so you can see their gorgeous hair or the latest perm that they got, or you see the picture of their nails, you know, their manicured nails with very artistic nail design. But you don't see their face, and if the face is maybe blurry, or they use some kind of a sticker, or some kind of, or maybe they just draw over it on some computer software, some Photoshop app, so that nobody can see their face, or a picture in a mask. Actually, that's also common here. So. It's very rare that they actually show their face. So that's in Japan now the big difference to China and Germany. Yeah, they don't show their face. And I do not think that all of them are people who are cheating. I think that a lot of them just don't want co-workers or friends or fellow students, depending on the age, right, to see that they're on Tinder. And this is then basically the big difference in Japan. And also the demand for money. Yeah, so if I go out with you, I demand you to give me this and that and to pay for this and that. That is also very common still here, especially among younger girls. And a lot of women actually say that they are just lonely and they just want a friend to go drinking or something like that. So many of them, and I don't know if that's true or if it's just yeah, that they can later say, I didn't look for romance or something. Yeah. They actually say they only look for friends. Yeah? They only want a partner for yoga. They only want a partner for cycling or mountain climbing. If you take everything seriously that they write, if you take it verbatim, you might actually think that in Japan it's not a dating app, but more like a, how do you say, like a like a post-it board at a university where you find people for shared activities or something like that. So it seems very innocent. Yeah. Okay, so this is basically the big change that I saw in Japan. Yeah, the awareness for violations of privacy or something, or that the risk that it poses if you just post everything on your profile, that is new here. In China, it was really the first time I did that, so I cannot say how it changed in the last years, but yeah, I think it's no surprise that in Shanghai the competition is so high and you see a lot of very professional looking pictures and perfectly trained bodies and makeup on their faces, so it looks almost like all of them are fashion models. Not all of them, but it's very common that they take extreme care about how they present themselves there. All right, I don't want to drag this out too long. That was my little update. I swiped in Germany, China and Japan so that you don't have to. Make of this data or these observations, this comparison, what you will. I just find it interesting. I think you can tell a lot about the dating scene, or you can infer maybe even something about how these women were treated in previous dates, or because they used the app for many years already and maybe their first profile didn't read as bitter as that, but after 3 years, especially I'm looking at the German women now, after 3 years or 4 years of Tinder, it's only shaming language and bitterness and not so passive aggressiveness left on the profile, and that maybe should be a hint, yeah, or that should be a clear sign that it's maybe time to uninstall the app and maybe look for more traditional, more standard, old school, offline ways to find a potential partner. All right, that's my update on Tinder or online dating, which I don't engage in. As I said, I always say I have the grace, or I enjoy the grace of a early birth, yeah? Or not of a late birth, but of an early birth. I was dating when we didn't even have smartphones. Yeah? There were the first cell phones maybe, but no smartphones and definitely no Tinder app. So I still did all that the old school way, and I never went on a Tinder date really, so I experimented with that while I was single for a while, but that never really worked for me actually. I think I could get a lot of dates when I really look at the responses I got, especially in China and in Japan. Obviously, I get a lot of likes, and I could, of course, set up one date or two a day, probably, but that's not really for me, and that's pretty awkward, I guess. I don't want to do that. All right, so I hope you're all safe still, and catch you guys again later. Servus, Kameraden.